Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, free enterprise fans, and welcome to our race today. I am Baka Shinobi, and I am joined by Motas. How are you doing, Motas?
I'm awesome considering I was up commentating the caboose race last night late, but this early morning time slot seems to be popular. Thank you everyone for showing up today.
Indeed, this is very opposite where we have a lot of races, so thank you to everyone who is coming out and showing that, yes, we want more free enterprise.
We've got a very decent match today. We have Infinious versus jbruntr, and both of these players are from the Sylph group, which also includes Billbotics and Flurry 14. Ever constant threat there. jbruntr is still having a possibility of skipping to the final rounds with no matches played yet. Infinious has one loss, so it's now fighting to stay in the magma route rather than the hook route.
Indeed, if you get 3 wins, you go straight to table. If you get 2 wins, you go into a group of all other 2-win runners in the group stage. And if you're 1 or 0 wins, you get moved into the hook route, which is all the runners who have 0 or 1 wins, and there will only be 2 spots to go and advance from the table stage. So that is going to be a very, very hard group to go and get through. So both runners really want wins to go and advance to that table stage, and they're going to be fighting really hard for it.
We do have some pretty varied objectives today. Our random objectives are complete Cave Magnus, defeat the King at the Town of Monsters, and launch the Falcon. So I think we're going to have to make some decisions based on how hard that enemy is at the King of the Town of Monsters. Launching the Falcon, of course, requires the hook. So we're going to either need a Twin Harp or a hook today.
Yep. I mean, we definitely need 3 items, so let's see what we get. We start with double Palums. That's not the worst thing to start with, and a pan as well. Palum's not going to be that great until he gets a little bit of experience. We can learn a level 2 spell, and then he's going to be able to go and carry a lot of the overworld. But let's see where our runners go. If you had this starting party in these flag sets, Motas, where would you want to go?
Well, we do have the free characters, so I'm definitely heading to Mysidia to see who else I can pick up. And depending on what I see there, I might also check Hobbs and Mount Ordeals for the characters as well, just to fill it out, make sure I have enough power to get through the first couple of fights.
Definitely something I agree with you there. I also like going to that watery pass because there is one free character there, and there's some good items, and it looks like Infinious is going straight to the watery pass for that character check and item.
We've seen this move a lot during this tournament. The Watery Pass has become more and more popular among players, especially with this specific tournament flag set, especially if they have access to exit.
Indeed, and finding an Ogre Axe and a Full Moon in the first few chests there. And Tella here. Tella, he's got that exit spell. He can go and do a fair amount of looting here and then just say, I'm out, exit! Go straight back, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see Infinious go and hit some extra chests in this area. Finding lots of weapons for characters he doesn't have, but those are all great starting weapons for Earthhammer is great for Sid, Ogre Axe is good for Kane or Sid as well. The Full Moon is great for any edges because it's as strong as a longsword. We did see a Edward and Baron in, so don't think jbruntr is going to be looking too hard to go and get that character yet. And instead choosing to go to Mysidia, where there'll be 2 characters waiting for them.
Yeah,
One of the
Tella
things,
is definitely a good utility character that can definitely change your strategies as soon as you know you have access to him, because he starts off with a good spell set, and once you get Ordeals done, we get the ever popular weak spell to enable all sorts of level grinding.
oh yeah, and he also gets access to Berserk, Stone, level 3 elemental spells. All of those can be very powerful in the right situations. And speaking of very powerful in the right situations, jbruntr finding an Edge and an Edward in Mysidia. The Edge starts at level 25 and has a lot of good gear, so it's really easy to see how he's powerful. Edward, however, can be a very, very useful character to have early on when certain fights, Edward can go and deal with better than anyone else. A Dark Knight Cecil in a rude spot, Edward can hide and avoid all the damage, so you don't have to tank the damage, you can just avoid it and get through a spot. Get through that very easily. Odin, he can go and do some unique strats on as well, and if you're ambitious, he can go and take on Threemus with some other unique strats.
Edge is a great pickup as well. I don't want to say trivialize, but definitely make a much less bumpy ride through the overworld.
Oh, I agree. When I have Edge, it's pretty easy to just change up your opening route for the overworld because with Edge, he could definitely go and just on most bosses he can take out himself on ordeals. So you can go through that way. Antlion is definitely no issue. Kabul defense is an issue. Baron shouldn't be much of an issue as well. So there's a lot of options open to our runners.
And we find a free Sid in Castle Damsian as well. That's another early game power hitter with a high HP pool. So we can definitely say the first couple of key item checks here are going to be very trivial.
Yep. And we see our runners going out of their way to check spots that don't really have key items there, but there is one key item that can be tied to a boss, and that is the Mist Dragon. The Mist Dragon can be in most any boss slot in the game, so you want to try and find them as soon as you can to get any key item that they might be blocking, which sometimes it's nothing like an X-Scale, other times it's something important like the Darkness Crystal.
Infinious about to show us our first key item boss here in the form of the Antlion Cave. A very popular starting key item check just because of the treasure density and the low HP pool of the boss. Just 1,000 HP here.
Yep, 1000 HP gives about 1000 XP as well, but that 1000 experience is enough to go and give Hallam his level 2 ice spell, which is really helpful at the start. Definitely going to go and get you started in this really well. Going through the Ogre Axe. Also, showing off that in Free Enterprise, something you could not do in the vanilla game, if you press select, you'll get details of all the items that you're looking at. So Infinious was going and checking both the attack power and the accuracy of the items and choosing the Earth Hammer, I believe, because it has better accuracy.
You can also use the Earth Hammer to kind of cast a mini Quake, which is very useful for this party, which so far does not have AoE. We will, of course, be fixing that here in a moment with some better black magic spells. But also, you may notice you can still use the twin command in Free Enterprise. The original game doesn't really expect you to have two of the same character, so any two twins will do. They do not have to be a matched set.
Yeah, very true. That is something I overlooked a fair times. And we have Plague here, not the... With the damage we have, it shouldn't be the worst boss, but it can definitely be a bit concerning because, well, you need to go and either kill him before all of your party counts down to 10, or you need to be able to go and get that count off your characters or get it refreshed somehow.
We had a question in chat. Is this a new tournament? Yeah, it's the Highway to the Threemus Zone. It's the third iteration of our Highway to the Threemus Zone tournament. It has a huge amount of players and 3 different phases to it. So I would definitely recommend getting into our Discord and viewing all the race and standings documents to really see what's going on here.
Indeed. The overview is right now we're in group stage. This is in the past we had a few big qualifier racers that everyone would try and go and just slam themselves through, see if they can qualify into the round of 32 of Zeromus. This year we're making it a bit more expanded where we have group stages where players have been divided up into pods of 4 players. They'll be playing off against each other, and depending on how well they do, they'll either advance directly to the round of 32. They will go and need to face off against other 2-win runners, or they'll need to go and face off against other 0-win runners for fewer qualification spots. So, lots of Free Enterprise coming. We are just getting started with the tournament this year.
And we can see both of our runners here extremely cautious, making sure to check the Watery Pass boss. They don't want to leave any stone unturned here in the case of an unlucky Mist Dragon that their opponent manages to find, and they don't.
And we find the hook that is required for our launch as a Falcon objective, and that could be our path underground, so definitely not the worst thing to go and find here. This is something that Infinious is probably going to be feeling both rather good about and a little disconcerted about.
Yeah, finding the hook early is good because even if you're not going to dive the hook route right away, it at least gives you the knowledge that that may be the way you're going to have to go, and also that you know that you're going to get that objective out of the 4.
Yep, that is going to be something very important to keep in mind, and just having that having that is going to make it so much easier. There is also a character check that they can do, see if there's a character that they want to take. Like, jbruntr is faking up that Cecil and dumping their Edward. And Cave Evelyn does have higher treasures, similar to Watery Pass, so they may be choosing to loot that.
Oh yeah, as I like to say, never skip that Evelyn shop.
Oh yeah. And we do see another Palom guarded by Ashura on top of Mount Hobbs, choosing not to take him. I don't disagree with this. Palom's a really good character, but having 3 Paloms, Tella and Sid, I imagine their party would end up being, is not a very well balanced party. So rather probably wants to go and look for some more melee fighters.
Yeah, this group would definitely love to find like an actual heavy-hitting melee fighter or a white mage at this moment in time.
Yeah, white mage is definitely, they would definitely going to be preferred as, well, with shops you can go and find a lot of items on S standard. You can potentially find things like Bacchus wines and exits and illusions, but they're really pricey.
Yeah, and if we don't find a true white mage, we have found Cure 3s for sale, so there is always kind of a little bit of backup strats available here.
Yep. So, Dark Knight Cecil is going and choosing to throw Dark Waves out at Fool today, knocking down one of the kids. I don't know if Infinious is going to be able to get, now only able to get one of the kids back up before Dark Knight Cecil gives his speech about how justice is not the only right in this world. Someday, you will see.
The Pain Manifesto, everyone's favorite.
Yes, everyone loves to go and get that speech. So this is normally at the Ordeals fight when Cecil becomes a paladin. The trick for that fight is you don't hit Cecil, you go and let him use his Dark Wave 3 times, he'll go and do that, and then he'll be done. The US version didn't actually have Cecil with the Dark Wave, so it was really hard to understand why that worked, but instead we find a package here. Not necessarily an item that's terribly exciting, because package is a character check. It's a slow and long character check. It's also a boss check that is also still slow and long. And the only boss we need to find is D-Mist. I don't know if Infinious is going to be that interested in checking this character.
No, especially not while there's still character checks that basically take no time, since you're going that way anyways in Cave Evelyn, and eventually if you have to go to the moon to hunt key items, you'll be checking that character as well.
Yep. And Infinious still has the Ordeals character and the Mysidia characters to pick up. Seeing a Black Belt, not having enough money to purchase them, Black Belts give +5 strength and +5 vitality. The strength is very helpful, as every 8 strength goes and gives another attack multiplier, which is very helpful for your melee fighters.
Yeah, don't discount the importance of stat boosting in this game. Although the base game doesn't really actually give you much information on the stat changes that various equipment will give you, a lot of it is very sneakily powerful, I will say.
Oh yeah, that's something that's really easy to overlook. There's a lot of parts of this there's a lot of stats on equipment that are easy to overlook that the base game does not explain. To see the stats on that Black Belt, for example, you'd have to start without it equipped. Check your status screen, see what your stats are. Equip the Black Belt. Go back to your status screen, see what your stats are, and see, okay, I think my strength and my vitality went up by 5. Here, you press the select button, it'll tell you all the stat bonuses you gained from that. And then there's other things that you can go and get that are not going to be advertised in the slightest. Like that Earth Hammer. It's a fire elemental weapon. And you use it, it'll cast Quake. The Ogre does quadruple damage against ogre-type enemies. Never said anywhere in the base game. Said here in Free Enterprise, because board actually likes the players being able to understand why certain pieces of equipment are good.
That's right. The racial damage bonuses alone are used very extensively by Free Enterprise players in a whole variety of situations, thanks to the fact that a lot of the grind fights we would choose to take have racial attributes, notably dragons.
Oh yeah, dragons, and not even just offensive stats, defensive stats. Dragoon armor goes and doubles your defense against dragons. The Aegis Shields, one of my favorite pieces of equipment, goes and doubles your defense against mage-type enemies. there are a number of bosses that will go and be some of these racial enemy types that you can go and really take advantage of just because, all right, I know that this type, I can go and throw in this gear to boost my defense. I don't have to worry about that character. Or we can put it on a Cecil who's going to go be covering in the back row. There is a lot of things you can do. There's a lot more to this game than it really lets on in its vanilla version.
Infinious now going to be our first player to check ordeals. We're going to see the character here and get all of our spell list for Tella.
That is, again, getting Tella's full spell list is something that is incredibly helpful. I love to go and have Tella with all the spell. Oh, goodness. Cecil on ordeals. Do you take him? I can't blame you for this. Something that Cecil in this flag set has vanilla agility, which means that no matter who is in your party and where they are, Cecil will be your anchor. And why that matters? One, Cecil is pretty speedy, and two, at late points in the game, you do not want a speedy anchor. You want to go and be able to prevent your enemies from being able to leverage their high speed and instead cap them out, because the ATB system in this game is a little experimental.
Oh, that's charitable. Yeah, definitely very obfuscating and hard to understand. But long story short, we are looking for certain agility values for the Threemus fight. We really don't want to be above those values by substantial margins, or it becomes much harder to see a lot more big bangs.
Speaking of seeing more things, we get to see the alt gauntlet. So one of the things about Infinious is realizing he sold his Earth Hammer, so he does not have that free instant use Quake for Unsid anymore. And spirits go and absorb fire damage, because why would you go and have an enemy that didn't absorb fire damage in a place where everything else is weak to fire damage?
Yeah, you love to see it, and I kind of expect, a lot of times runners are going to avoid the alt gauntlet if they don't have to go there. But considering that we have Tella in the party and he's going to be needed to do the easier rep or experience grinds, they're just going to have no choice but to bury through this.
Yeah, it's definitely... Alt Gauntlet deals really feels bad when you don't have a Cecil that you want to promote to Paladin, or Tella to learn all the spells on. Tella learning all the spells is such a big game changer, in my opinion, that yes, you will go and suffer through this on ordeals. It is interesting to me that ordeals is a pretty common check in these flags so far, because it is 3 boss fights and just 1 key item check. But I think people are really interested in the promise of Tella being able to do a lot for their team.
That's exactly right. And in other flag sets that we've had, sometimes ordeals is a very positive because of the 3 boss spots in places where we can have Fu. But Fu has been banished to the Dark Realm for this tournament, so we will not be seeing Uncle Mop.
Yeah, he cleaned up too much in Fabul Gauntlet, so he is relegated to background duty today. But Infinious getting through, jbruntr going in and getting through the first fight of Baronin, that Dark Elf. We're going to see who the second fight is. And it's Baigan. Oh, yuck. This spot hits hard, and Baigan's got 3 parts that he'll keep going and pulling back out until he's completely down, so... This could be a very mean fight. Yeah, 430 damage on Tella in the back row. We do have Sid with the Earth Hammer, so that should be able to knock out those arms. Or not. I lied, apparently.
Yeah, the only good thing is that Earth Hammer does share the trait of the regular Quake spell to go through walls, so he still will be able to use it to hit again.
Yep. That's, Oh, and, yeah, this is going to end a little poorly for someone on the team, as that Fire 2 is now getting reflected because it targeted one of the arms, and down goes Sid.
Yeah, we might see a reset here. I think that jbruntr will try this again if he wipes, but gonna want to set up a little bit better.
Yeah, it's going to go to revive people, but yeah, this is a pretty specific fight. And speaking of fights that are not On the opposite end of difficulty, I guess is a better way of putting this, we have the officer-soldier fight of the Kaipo guards. This is if you take out the 3 guards, then the officer just simply runs away. If you take out the soldier, all the officer first and then the soldiers get confused and start hitting each other.
Oh, jbruntr manages to take him out, but will he survive the explodes from the arms? Okay, manages to get 2 life potions off. That means completely safe now.
Yep, that's something. This bot doesn't give experience, so it's really hard to go and say, oh no, my characters are down except for 1. I'm going to lose all this lovely experience of 0.
Yeah, that was a good recovery. A little bit slower with those life potions, and it could have been a bad feel.
What feels good is that Earth Crystal. That opens up the Earth Treasury. That has some very nice loot. It's weighted very strongly on these flags, the T Wildest loot. I think we're going to see jbruntr go and see if he can pull some very nice gear to help on that hook route.
Yeah, now that you have that knowledge, you're kind of using up your Earth spots. You're thinking you probably are going to have to fight that boss at the hook route. Very good play would be to go to Troya Armory right now. And meanwhile, Infinious is showing us that the key item on top of Ordeals is going to be... Oh, just the Zeus Gauntlet. Welcome equipment for sure, but after fighting that gauntlet, you would have liked to have seen a key item here for sure.
Yeah, that's something. Again, this gets a little tricky. Depending on how soon you have to grind, Tella spells become super important. And depending on how that hook route goes, Tella having Berserk can also be incredibly important if we don't find a white mage anywhere else. Granted, we do have Tower of Zot and the hook character check that we haven't seen, so that could be a white mage. But the Berserk spell is incredibly helpful. And that Zeus Gauntlet is a piece of tier 6 gear. That the Zeus Gauntlet is great for 1, it gives plus 10 strength, 2, it gives giant resistance, and one of the things you like doing on the hook route is fighting a certain chest filled with mad ogres.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of players leave that experience on the table on the way down to a hook route. It's a very lucrative. 4 enemies, you can life glitch 3 of them, meaning you're basically doubling the EXP that you get from the battle.
Yep. And a very helpful thing, Tella, one of the spells he gets from Ordeals is the Size spell, which will go, if you land it on the Mad Ogres, turn them all into wee little Lilliputians who will, they'll punch a lot less hard because their attack power will just be set to 1. And their defense will be set to 1. And they'll take quadruple damage from physical attacks because, let's be honest, this is no longer a fair fight.
You know, bringing up the size status effect really makes you think, are the people in Silvera tiny or are they cursed?
You know, I don't think they would call themselves cursed. I think they'd say, yes, I am absolutely happy. Like, the person you trade the rat tail to seems quite happy. They're not going and lamenting how they're going in life. They're saying, give me my tail collection. Go, fork over tails. Yes, that's nice. You're very big and all. Give me tails. But Infinious is going to that Baron Inn, is going to go and hopefully get through these fights and find this Earth Crystal, and jbruntr is going and teasing our audience. How good is the treasury? Well, we're going to go and take a bit to get to the locked treasury because he's looting the open treasury now.
Infinious definitely going to have an easier time here in the Baron Inn. Edge is going to be swinging for the fences. Is also back row glitched, by the way. We did find full moons earlier, meaning even when Edge gets regular weapons re-equipped, it's going to be back row city for him.
Yep, that is something that when you have a long-range weapon, the game kind of forgets to turn off the long-range bit, and whenever you take it off, so you just keep it forever. It's really nice.
Yeah, the free enterprise has fixed a lot of the vanilla glitches, which we allow to be turned on or off depending on the flag set, but that is one we've kept because it's just too good.
Oh yeah. On that treasury, I saw items of note: a glass hat, a white shirt, an Excalibur, and a rune ring. Definitely not the worst one. That white shirt can be massive depending on, do I need some extra defense against, say, Mylon Z, because white shirt gives undead and spirit resistance. It's really helpful against that. Also works on Elements phase of the Myland phase of the Elements fight. The white shirt and the Excalibur, I think, are two of the biggest things. A glass hat with a curse ring in my inventory would make me strongly consider taking Cecil, because even if he is my anchor, he's going to be... I'm going to be able to make him really slow. Dwarf axes are probably for sale somewhere, so I can get him even slower. And a glass hat and a white shirt makes Cecil really tanky.
Now, if both of our players ditch Cecil, one of them has already ditched him. But if they both do, it's good to note that although Edge cannot throw Cecil's ultimate weapon, the Crystal Sword, he can throw Excaliburs, and it deals quite a bit of damage for this part of the game. Maybe a good strategy to speed up an otherwise slow fight.
Not going to disagree with you there. Meanwhile, excuse me, Infinious just going and checking the Mist Cave, probably going to go and check that Earth Crystal, might be going into Dive Tower of Zot. That is not always the most popular check for 2 characters when we already have a lot of characters, and 2 bosses to get 1 key item. And jbruntr finding a nice shop there with hourglasses for sale and coffins. Those are 2 very helpful items.
Never skip the Cave Eblana shop.
Yes, it's on the S standard flags, the more powerful items, specifically things like words are hard, sorry. Hourglasses, coffins, sirens, buckets, wines will never be in overworld shops, so only be in gated shops. And the Evelyn Cave counts as a gated shop because you can only get here with the hook. Looks like jbruntr was thinking very hard when he saw diamond rings and said, yes, I will drop some money on those. It's, those are one of the stronger rings you can go and equip on your characters. It is a lot of defense for this stage of the game, and it goes and does a lot.
Yeah, we can see with the shop flags here, usually you would see players not really go shopping for equipment as much, but we've seen more and more players, both in this tournament and outside, doing shop checks specifically for armor rather than weapons. It's kind of just a new strategy.
Yep, the shops got rebalanced lately, and on T-Sparth, you're likely to go and find a lot of pieces of equipment, so you might need to go and fill out some of those very specific things you're missing. Black belt keys, I believe we saw one of our runners stare longingly at in the shop as they realized they don't have the money to afford it. And there's a number of good weapons there. You can find things like lightsabers, Gungnir spears, ogre axes in shops. Ogre axes will be in ungated shops in standard. Gungnir spears and lightsabers and ninja swords will be in gated shops. So they are all very strong. Speaking of very strong, Stillmen are going and pulling out some very strong punches. They can go and put your characters to sleep with a punch, and that's not so great when it happens.
Yeah, this is surprisingly tough trap chest fights. If you have hourglasses, which were available in Evelyn's shop, then it becomes a little more trivial. But we can see jbruntr did not pop one.
Yep, it's this is a chest that a lot of people don't really enjoy. Ooh, Edge getting knocked out with a punch. Need to rely on Callum not getting hit, and just jinxed it.
Oh, Sid wakes up only to be put right back to sleep again. Tragic.
This is alright, so Edge is dodging. Here's the second Cecil. Do you take him, Infinious? It's gonna be your first one, but you got all that defensive gear, and you see a lunar sparkle there. So you have an X-Scale, you have a glass hat, you have a curse ring. What do you think, Motos? Do you go and take Cecil, or do you go and say, no, I don't want to ever touch vanilla agility?
I mean, I'm very tempted, if I have an Excalibur or Crystal Sword, to take him in any situation, unless it's very late in the game, in which case I might take him as a level 1 agility anchor as well. So for me, it's the allure of the sick hits is hard to pass up.
You know, I can't go and fault you for that. I am definitely on team Anchor Cecil, because Playing fair with agility is not my favorite thing to do, to be entirely honest. It's something that is really, really tricky, as actually having to go and not have the same number of turns as your enemies turns out to be rather disadvantageous.
And we see here, taking that stalemate fight actually allowed Infinious to get in front of jbruntr. So we will see who can make it actually through Upper Zot or Upper Babel first.
Oh yeah, we still have plenty of game, as whatever boss. So unless we have something very rude, this can't be Wyvern. And to explain on that in a second, we have 3 bosses who cannot block the logical path underground. Those bosses are Golbez, Valvalis, and Wyvern. Wyvern is depicted as a lunar sparkle because he is one of the 5 moon bosses. We have already seen Plague, so this means the remaining moon bosses that are not Wyvern and Plague are Paldim, D-Lunars, and Ogopogo.
They're all going to be really tough, and jbruntr has not done Ordeals, so does not have the full Telespell list. And after seeing that Lunar Sparkle, I'm seriously thinking about exiting out of here and going to do Ordeals first.
jbruntr is going to be in a good situation because he's going to find the second Cecil and see, I have it in an X-Cal, I can have 2 Cecils, I can dumpster one of these Cecils and keep him at low agility, and I can take the other Cecil, give him a nice shiny Crystal Sword, or Excalibur, excuse me, and let him just show off that really lovely Holy Sword sound effect.
Yeah, I think seeing Dark Knight Cecil join kind of jogged jbruntr's memory that, ooh, do I really want to do this moon boss at Babel with Tella not powered up?
Yeah, this is something that can go pretty well for jbruntr. Another thing I like is if you have multiple Cecils and you have a Curse Ring and a Dwarf Axe, it's really easy to keep both Cecils alive. Make one Cecil wearing the Curse Ring covered in protective gear, so they can just simply be nothing but protection for the rest of the team. And Zerk the other one, because cover doesn't work if you're Berserked. If you have 2 Cecils, you don't have to worry about that too much, because you can keep one Cecil in the back row whose job is to be the wall for the rest of the team and take a bunch of punches, while the other one can go and be wearing just wearing black belts and bandanas in the front row, just carving up enemies. Oh, and to expand on a thought I touched on, if the lunar boss is Wyvern at the Rubicon spot, that means we have the best troll in the game. D-Mist is hiding somewhere with the Magma Key, and there is one place it can be that we have not checked so far. Excuse me, there are 2 places it can be, now that I've seen something. It can be in the Tower of Zot, where you can get to without the Earth Crystal. Actually, we have the Earth Crystal, that can just be the Magma Key as well. Never mind. There's so many options for this. We don't go and have super trolls, we just have a number of other options at the moment.
Yeah, so if it is Wyvern, that would be a really good clue to our runners that they need to go check that Earth Crystal ASAP.
Yep. And to answer a question from chat, is it possible for one of the dreaded 3, Golbez, Valvalis, or Wyvern, is in the Rubicon spot and your path underground has a D-Mist at King Queen Evelyn to lead you to the Magma Key? Not only is it possible, I've seen that before. This is something someone I was watching online, Yagamoth, their 2nd seed ever. They went and did a series where early on in Free Enterprise, you can go and set the flags to something called K3. Oh my goodness.
Speak of the dragon, and she shall appear.
Leonhardt, you're supposed to be tracking. Are you tracking a little too closely? This is so mean. This is so very mean. This is great. To answer your question, yes, Infinious did go and skip the Stalemate test. I'm sorry. There are so many things to feel about this. So, if I'm sorry, I can't compose myself.
I'm just
All right,
typing emotes because I don't even know what to say. I can't believe that happened.
Alright, so one, if Threemus has the Magma Key and Wyvern's there, this is incredibly rude. Because remember, our objective is still to launch the Falcon. Wyvern's not very nice at this spot because this spot's fast and you have to make sure you're anchored properly. So you need to go get Star Veils off and then go and chew through the 20,000 some odd HP here.
Yeah, that's the thing. Let's say it is Wyvern at the second spot. It's still likely going to have to be cleared by our players eventually, just because it's launching the Falcon is one of the objectives, unless they luck out and find the other stuff while they're trying to level their party.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's one thing. Demas could just have anything else because it is a key item spot. It's not going to be required. There could still go and be Earth Crystal having a Magma Key. That's entirely possible. Neither of our runners have gone up that tower because they really didn't feel like it. But this is, okay. Here's something that would be a bit stupid rude, but really amusing. Demas gives the Twin Harp gives the Magma Key.
That would be great for our runners. Actually, I wouldn't call that rude at all. It would send them straight to where they need to go.
Except they forget to come back sometimes. If this is Wyvern and they don't deal with it now. Because that is an easy thing to go and do. That would put them in one item away, a Path to Zeromus away from go mode, but they also have to go and deal with this Wyvern.
Now we did see, I believe Infinious does have a Star Veil. That's really, you only need one. As long as you can get it off in this position, it will last long enough to bounce enough back.
Yep. Only need one. The problem is then you have to deal the rest of the damage to Wyvern. And it's just Paladin. Paladin is, of the remaining moon bosses, probably the least dangerous.
Yeah, this is definitely the boss that they wanted to see here. Ogopogo can be hard to keep up with in this spot, and of course Wyvern has all the problems we've already outlined.
Yep. Few litters might not have been too bad, but you would probably want to go and set up and do those breath reflect strats, because this is not going to go that quickly, and you don't really want them casting spells. So that would probably be not too bad. Paladin is insanely rude if you only have elemental spells for damage, like you have level 15 Palums trying to go and deal with this, but then I guess you switch to Twin. Because the one thing we don't see about Paladin, he absorbs and resists all elements. So, yeah, that's kind of annoying. He also counters with slow, which is tedious, but not incredibly awful.
Yes, it's kind of like Golbez in that respect. In most situations, not a hard fight as long as you have Star Veils, but just takes so long.
Yeah, that's... Well, Demarine has chosen not to be incredibly rude. The most rude thing that can happen is after going through and launching this Falcon, forgetting to check Demist, as it's going to be some time between the span of, I've defeated Demist, I have a key item check to, I have gone through a boss where I can reliably check more key items.
Yeah, the Mist Village fade is definitely real.
What's extra funny is you have to make sure you go in Mist Village on the correct side. Because we have the package. If you approach from the front, you trigger the package cutscene, and don't get to talk to Riddy's mom until you finish that cutscene and come back to Mist Village. Alternatively, if you approach from the back, you don't go and get the package cutscene, and can walk around and talk to people like Riddy's mother.
jbruntr now coming down with a shiny new Paladin Cecil and fully powered Tella. I can imagine we'll be going back to Cave Evelyn now.
Yeah, I imagine they're going to go and... If they anchor their Cecils properly, they can go and have a stronger team than Infinious does, just by virtue of... Oh, only taking the one Cecil. My mistake. I assumed they would be taking two. This is... Oh, and... They have 2 Excaliburs and they only took 1 Cecil. I am surprised by that, to be entirely honest.
Yeah, maybe just didn't want to drop the mages at this point, thinking they might be more helpful to get through the rest of the checks. Is thinking more about basically the middle game rather than their Z fight.
That's fair. That is definitely not unfair. Halland is a strong character. He's easy to go and say, yes, please stay in my party. Because getting Quake at level 23 and having that bluff ability does a lot of damage.
This is a situation as well where at Pale Dim, throwing that Excalibur looks really good because thanks to the fact that it counters with slow every time you hit it, the bigger the hits, the better. So you can avoid a lot of animation.
And it doesn't trigger throw. It only triggers the counters the fight command, which throw bypasses that. That just does a bunch of damage. It does the base damage formula is the weapon power times Edge's level, so not too hard to go and do some pretty respectable damage with some not so respectable piece of equipment.
We did see Baron guards peaked at the top of the tower there.
Yeah, no question as to whether that's Kaipo and Baron guards, because we've already fought the Kaipo guards. Meanwhile, Infinious finishing objective number 4, launched the Falcon, and is going to be getting underground first at just under 40 minutes. Meanwhile, jbruntr is going back through the Evelyn Cave and is going to be seeing that hook route and is going to be able to some things. A Drain Sphere and a chest. When I was talking about things that are good to throw, Drain Sphere is probably one of the top things to throw because it is an awful weapon to use. Low accuracy, -10 to all stats. But it's got really high attack power.
You know, you can use its true name, Hype Spear.
Look, I'm hyped to go and see some of those with so many edges around in these seeds. That chucking them for 3,000 to 5,000 damage early on, yes, I will take it.
I also enjoy throwing my entire armory at the enemy in battle. Makes perfect sense.
I mean, you can buy Drain Spheres from shops now for 6,000 gold, and for how well they throw, that's a steal in my book. And Infinious is full looting the land of summoned monsters to go and just get some more stuff. Probably going to want some more money because there's a lot of stuff you want to buy down here, potentially.
Oh, Magma Key tucked away in the Fey March. Classic.
Well, at least Infinious knows that there definitely weren't any around in on Demas, so maybe that's something that'll go and convince them to maybe run back and check Demas. They do have a pan as well that they started with. They now have the opportunity to go and check that for 3 key item checks, excuse me, because they did the Full Defense, but hitting Yang will get 1 key item from the Sylphs. Talking to Sheila after talking to Yang in the underground will give another key item check, and returning the pan to Sheila will go and get a 3rd check. So you can go and get a whole bunch of key item checks out of the way quickly. So I imagine you want to go and see what boss you need to be thinking of in the King of Summoned Monster spots.
Yeah, right here, I really want to know because that's going to tell me how much I'm going to have to do as far as levels go before I try this objective and come down here again. Looks like we do have a red robe and another moon boss, and there's only 3 moon bosses left. So if that is, luckily, that is the queen spot, so not necessary, we think.
We could have, say, Darkness Crystal on the moon, and need to go and, have that spot hold the Darkness Crystal and pass beyond the moon, so that's the only way to Threemus. Also, Infinious spotting Ninja Swords there, considering it, but I think only buying 1. Those are the best weapons you can buy for Edge, as it gives +5 strength, and is the 3rd highest attack power for Edge.
I am actually a little surprised that Infinious didn't try that red robe just to see if he could just crank it out while he was down there.
Maybe they weren't feeling certain on their anchoring situation. Maybe they were just deciding I would rather go and check other things first. But I do agree that was definitely a very doable fight. You can get it's an objective, so you have to do it at some point. If you can go and do it when you first see it, I do agree that is a stronger play to just take care of it then. But he is leveling Cecil. He might not know exactly what agility he's at and how well he's going to be anchor. And if he doesn't have any hourglasses, if he's out, you definitely want those to deal with those imps. It's going to be hard to have Telly get a spell off before those imps start punching.
jbruntr is showing off the mini strat here on the Mad Ogre chest. Meanwhile, Infinious getting a crystal ring from the Sylphs. Not a key item, but definitely a good accessory to pick up here. And is still going to get both Sheila checks out of it as well.
Yep, and hopefully they remember to hit their demist. I know I would forget because it's been so long since that fight, but yeah. Another strategy for dealing with the Dark Imps that we could go for, we do have a Glassat and Cecil. If you go and use those damage tiles to bring all of your characters down to low HP and then heal up Cecil, he will cover every party member of the team. If you get your defense high enough, that's going to go and let you just negate all the damage for your team, and then you've got a lot of ways to take out those Dark Imps.
On the way to Fabul, Infinious is checking the demist item. It is a crystal shield, also a great item for Cecil, so going to be happy, even happier that he kept Cecil, but going to go on to Fabul to see if we can get some actual progression.
Indeed. The crystal shield, it is unfortunately not one of my favorites because while it is a good shield, it only gives undead resistance and +3 wisdom, or willpower, excuse me. So it makes Cecil heal a bit stronger, but there are other shields that I feel can do more for you. Like the Dragoon shield gives all elemental resistances and dragon resistance. The Aegis shield goes and gives mage resistance and petrified protection as well. And we're finding the Baron Key and a Stardust Rod, definitely something you're fine to walk out. Stardust Rod will be great for their Palom. Baron Key is 2 more checks. Neither of them are checks we need, though. I'm noticing now that we're getting close to... Technically, we have almost all of the overworld key item checks, with the exception of Twin Harp and Rat Tail, and then we're just missing the Tower Key and Luca Key for key item checks, though Luca Key, we might not need that. That's the seed, though. Why wouldn't we need it, the seed? Motos?
Which item are we talking about here? There's a lot you just mentioned.
Sorry, the Luca Key.
Oh, well, we have the warp glitch on, so you can just grab the key item from the sealed cave without having to actually fight the boss. And both of our runners have access to warp, so that's not going to be a problem. It's kind of just chalking another tally mark on your key item.
Indeed, and that's something I can see our runners going and wanting to check out. So I imagine the rudest formation for key items at this point would be Twin Harp on the moon and Adamant behind Twin Harp after you find a Legend Sword.
Yeah, and also keep in mind that we need moon access or the pass in order to get to Zeroma. So you may be thinking, well, if they find a Twin Harp at Zot, or if they find a Twin Harp in Baron, then they can be done. Ooh, that's not the case. They need at least 2 more key items. They need that Twin Harp and a way to Zeromus as well. So,
yep, there's still plenty of game out here. So jbruntr is going in, working, catching up, trying to get through this Threemus fight, darting a Drain Sphere, doing 2,500 damage, working on getting through these fights, and making good work at it. Has Quake on his Quake Kid, so definitely not the worst thing to have going for him. Hella getting up to Fire 3, while Infinious going back down to, I believe, take out those Dark Imps.
yeah, this is not a bad play. You now have the knowledge that it's basically a free boss as long as you're prepared, and has done some pickups now, so I would definitely be doing this move as well, just to knock it out and know that it's done and you're not going to forget to come back.
Agreed. And jbruntr is opting to save, which I do not disagree with, because getting knocked out, reviving their characters, and looks like they're going to go and throw out some healing. This is unfortunately unnecessary because you get full healed before you go into the Rubicant fight. Rubicant believes in honorable combat and believes that all opponents must be at their full strength before they are mercilessly crushed. And apparently the spot goes and has it written into the contract, so everyone here does it.
Meanwhile, Infinious is showing off the exact strategy we discussed earlier, has only healed Cecil up. This is going to guarantee that the Hourglass gets off because the first hits are going to hit Cecil. Whoa, didn't see what he liked, reset right away.
Yeah, that did 1,200 damage to Cecil. Cecil, yes, you have a glass set. You want to go and throw that glass set on. You also want to change Cecil's armor to not the power shirt right now. You want to give him just all the defense. It might not even be worth it to curse ring Cecil just to go and make sure you have time. But yes, that's the Leviathan spot has kind of maximum attack power, or at least close to maximum attack power for, you know, a spot that never goes and actually attacks. Yes, that white shirt will be going to use slightly superior defense. Actually, the power shirt does give more defense than I was expecting it to.
Yeah, we call that just hashtag Final Fantasy IV things, you know, like bosses like the Mist Dragon absorbing Holy when you would never have a Holy attack at the beginning of the game, or a boss that never physically attacks having crazy high physical attack power.
Oh yeah, or the magic power at a lot of the late game spots where they never cast spells. The Opopogo altar is terrifying with a caster because it has really high magic power.
We see Infinious has also turned down the battle speed, just only needs to get basically this one Hourglass off, and then we'll be able to get through this. Ooh, we got the cover, and let's see, we got another cover. Yeah, so this strategy is working out swimmingly. That's it. That's all the attacks they're going to get off.
Yep, that's one of the things about the back row is that it doubles your defense and it doubles your evade, which are both really helpful things. That's why Cecil kind of went from 400 damage, 33 damage, 285 damage. The Dark Imps are going and taking a lot of swings with their attacks, but they're going and also missing with a number of them sometimes.
That's right. If you're unfamiliar with what's going on under the hood in Final Fantasy IV, that's fine, because it's an absolutely crazy game under the hood. But suffice to say, evasion is actually very valuable because, as Shinobi just said, every attack an enemy does to you is actually a combination of damage rolls, and those damage rolls can be individually evaded. You evade attack when you evade all of them, basically.
Yep. It's if you remember old school D&D, think like that, but much faster. And there are the Dark Imps down, excuse me. Dark Elf was taken care of earlier. And getting a good amount of experience on his characters, and we're going to see what Kian he gets. Ah, yes, the Bahamut summon for all the radius we've seen, and will absolutely want to take.
Yeah, it would have been nice to get a 2 for an objective and a nice key item. Twin Harp would have been nice, but a little unfortunate, but Infinious is still going to consider this a win for sure.
Yep, not exiting out. Looks like it's coming back up here and probably going to be resting or healing up and taking a crack at that Ashura spot.
You know, I don't think his party is ready to take this, but maybe he just wants the knowledge of what it is.
Yep, there's a lot of different things it can be. If it's Wyvern, that's something just D-Lunars, so still a very manageable fight. If you have some dragon resistance, you'll go and be able to take them out. Actually, the white shirt will go and provide a lot of defense for Cecil. You can do cover strats until you get to breath phase, reflect some breaths, and then go to town on them.
Yeah, I definitely don't like to see D-Lunars there. They're out of the lunar bosses, they're the ones with the most like kind of specific strategies to kill, and the attack power at the Ashura spot is pretty nasty.
That it is, but I mean, Cecil with a glass set and that white shirt, again, gives undead and spirit resistance. D-Lunars are both dragon and undead, so Cecil's going to be taking half damage from them. As long as you don't go and trigger that virus phase by attacking them directly, you can definitely get through them with not too much difficulty, in my opinion.
Meanwhile, Infinious is checking Dwarf Castle. This has become a really popular check in this flag set thanks to the warp glitch we were talking about earlier. You basically get 2 key items for the price of 1. We see CPU in the first spot. This is not going to be an issue for Infinious.
Yeah, this is CPU is at best a slow boss, just because the main thing you have to fight is in the back row. If you don't have a back row glitch set up, it's going to go and take more time. But we have Edge to use back row glitch, and if you just take out that attacker, then you're going to be able to go and do fair amounts of damage. So the defender nodes, not a lot of damage coming out from Infinious. So I guess Sid could also just simply missed with a number of those Ogre Axe swings, because Ogre Axe is a solid weapon, but I believe it starts at 60% accuracy, maybe 80%.
Yeah, you really want your axe user to be in the center spot of your party to give the extra accuracy bonus.
Yes, that's there's a functional 25% boost to accuracy where whatever your accuracy is multiplied by 1.25, and you get that much. Your accuracy goes up to that. It becomes actually a problem for Rosa because it overflows her aim command, which sets her accuracy to 255. Multiply that by 25%, and now you're down to 60% accuracy.
Pyrelight in chat mentioning you probably want your axe user to actually have a hammer to deal extra damage to machines. That's right. Machines are a race in this game, and hammers give racial damage to it. Not that the game would have told you that.
Fun fact, CPU doesn't count as machine. This is actually something I've gone and checked, because I was going and thinking, alright, I got Sid, I'm going to give him a hammer, he's going to go and bash this thing down, and why is he doing about the same damage he's doing with his Ogre Axe? So I pulled up the FF4FE and decided to look up, is this seriously not a machine type? And no, CPU is not a machine type. It's also not a floating type, even though it looks like it's floating, which is why it's affected by Quake.
Ooh, non-floating enemies that look like they're floating, and floating enemies that don't look like they're floating, like Mylon. And that was a 6,000 damage Quake. Wow.
Stardust Rod, and I believe we saw some bluffs come out. Callum is not holding back, and neither is Golbez. Granted, this spot holds him back considerably. It's going to be more annoying than anything. But there is another Cecil. If you want a second Cecil, here's your chance. And dumping Sid, I don't disagree. I believe I explained my master plan of one Cecil swings with the crystal sword, the other Cecil is slowed down to be molasses, and in just a pile of armor. You don't know how he managed to go and get in front of people with as slow as he is, but he will sure do it.
Very interesting. Vanilla Golbez is actually good here, even though it's going to take some time. Depending on who he chomps, all you need to do is pop a Star Veil here and get everybody else up, and you should be good to go.
Yep, and if Ed survives, he's going to be even better position. The spells are not going to do too much here because this spot has very low magic power. It is intended to go and be a little bit merciful for you. Ooh, and trying to attack. Oh, you probably tried to attack a different character that I missed, and after that character went down, auto retargeting turned on, and Edge decided, I am clearly the best person to be attacking. But doing 1,000 damage to Golbez. Golbez doing 160 damage. I think this fight is going to go and be in Infinious' favor. But Golbez, getting his revenge against Tella, remembers the Tower of Za and decides, no, you do not get to go and do any repeats, old man. No medios today.
And it's interesting to note here, Infinious still has his Cecil at level 1.
Yes, that is something he might go and be rather pleased with, as the new Cecil can be a fresh anchor, level 1. You just slap a curse ring on him, you can leave him down the whole game. not have to worry about finagling any agilities or having to worry about Wyvern. You can level him up a bit. Minus 15 agility does go and get you pretty far, though if you're getting close to the end game, you definitely don't want to let your Cecil get up past level 30 or 40 or so. Just that minus 15 stops mattering as much when Cecil starts getting 28 agility. But we have Infinious showing off the Warp Glitch.
You know, it always bothered me. We never get to know what. We never get that crystal that Golbez steals.
I believe we go and see it eventually when you go to the moon and you see all the crystals on the lunar dais. Or are those the moon crystals? I can't remember all the crystals in this game. They like to go and make up a lot of them. Not getting any progression from here, but getting Stan Ruby, which is another character. I don't know if Infinious is going to be that interested in more characters unless he decides, I'm going to get Sirens, I'm going to replace Tello with someone else.
Yeah, we still don't have eyes on Sirens, which is a shame because it's definitely one of the more preferred ways to grind. Although, if we ever find a Darkness Crystal, that'll open up the D Machines, which is also the other popular one, with a new manipulation discovered for this tournament.
Yes, something we turned on for this tournament because we were curious. We wanted to go and try and make runners use more different grinds was the can't run flag. What this did is mean that our runners went and researched different ways to manipulate encounters so that you walk outside of Baron, get right before the encounter that you would be taking a D Machine, and then go to turn-off encounters, walk to the Giant of Babel, and then get your D Machine encounters that way. It's a really neat setup, and it completely validates the necessity of can't run.
jbrunt's actually taking the warrior chest in the Fey March, wanting a little bit of EXP, I guess.
Can see them wanting that. There's always the temptation of this chest can have a crystal sword when it's a trap chest, so there's also a bit of that. Getting a Quake out and taking out those enemies, not getting too far. Getting a Dragoon Spear, which is a good weapon, but not the weapon you probably want when you don't have a cane.
Yeah, we've seen a plethora of spears this playthrough, actually, and it would have been nice if we'd had a cane early, but it's a little too late now.
I think if you take Kane at this point, finding a Masamune, that is a nice pickup. A Murasame. Murasame is one that I'm a lot less hot on because it gives Edge -5 agility. It does give +5 strength, but -5 agility when you have a leveled Cecil and playing fair on agility is not something I like.
Yeah, go figure. We're gonna put your one of your super weapons on the moon and then make it give you worse stats.
Yeah, the game's a bit rude. There's a fair amount of math done on what are Edge's actual best weapons, and it can be a Masamune, it can be double Masamune, it can be Masamune Ninja Sword, it can go and be Masamune Murasame, you can go and be Masamune Ninja Sword. It gets silly. It gets real silly. It gets a lot of math.
jbrunt's showing us Bacchus wines here for sale.
Definitely something you like to see, especially the number of characters who are going to want to be hitting things. That's a lot of... Berserk is an important spell. Berserk goes and gives plus 50% attack power. Not even attack power, you just do 50% more damage when you're Berserk. And you don't also have to enter in commands to Berserk, so you'll go and just hit faster. Nitsky, I don't know if jbruntr has checked Threemus yet, but Threemus has been checked and it gave a crystal shield. I believe this Pokemon, we would have a very disappointed Cecil at the moment because he was really hoping for Sword.
Job Dwarf today is a political scientist. Thank you, jbruntr, for making that fan favorite check.
Indeed, that is the Job Dwarf in the vanilla game. He's a farmer, and the randomizer, well, we can't just keep things vanilla, can we? Let's give him new jobs all the time. I wonder how much political science he has to study down here in the underworld, because I don't think they have a variety of different nations to deal with.
Infinious not wanting to deal with those Dragon Lunars in the Ashura spot, so he's going to check one of the few avenues remaining, going up Tower of Zot.
it's definitely something I wouldn't be too opposed to, though he did see that there was a free boss on the top of Lower Babel. I am surprised that they're opting to do 2 boss fights, which might be easy at this point, but still somewhat time-consuming, over 1 boss fight that he knows is free.
Yeah, there's definitely a variety of thought processes among our runners about half tower. A lot of runners really don't like to do tower until they have both things, but sometimes it can definitely pay off.
Yep, that is something that it's really easy to go and get yourself in a situation of, I don't want to go do this until I'm doing it for maximum value. I don't want to do this for maximum value. And then you find out, Darkness Crystal was there, or Tower Key was there, or something that was pretty solid was in that location, and you tried to go and you got a little too greedy on efficiency. I still think the worst is when Sheila 1 has hand.
Oh, definitely the double dip in Sylph Cave definitely hurts.
And not just for the damage tiles.
Huzinga!
Oh, and this hurts too. Luca going and saying, I'm going to block the stairwell. And we see Dr. Lugate in the first spot of Tower of Zot. And we also see that Cecil looks like Infinious Avenger Glitch Cecil for their scale this fight, and is just going to go and have an Avenger Cecil this for the second fight. The Avenger allows you to go and easily do something. It's called the Avenger Glitch, but it is technically the Berserk Glitch, where if you go and swap the weapons of your character and Berserk them without actually inputting any commands, the game never updates their equipment, so they can go and attack with the same power as the weapons they had equipped before you swapped it in the inventory. When you do it with the Avenger, because the Avenger does automatically set the Berserk status, it does it perfectly. Also, do you want more Cecils? That is actually a rather hard decision, because you can go and Avenger glitch that X-Scale onto another Cecil. So you can have one Avenger glitch Cecil hitting with the power of an X-Scale, and then give another Cecil an X-Scale, and have a third Cecil just sitting there in the middle, anchoring for the whole time. My goodness.
Well, there's the Kane, but I don't think Infinious is going to take him, even though we've seen a lot of great spears by now.
Yeah, I think Infinious is going to have a really hard time, and not taking another Cecil. I can't go and disagree with this, because giving up Palom is going to be really scary. Giving up Tella would be rather scary as well, because Tella still has a lot of good swords you can use. But that's a lot of Cecils, and you can go and get a lot of holy sword swinging action like that.
Yeah, and even in the Z fight, if we have to kind of switch around, you're still going to be able to get some damage out of your Anchor Cecil, although if he stays at level 1, that's not going to last.
No, level 1, if you throw a Crystal Sword on him, he's really not going to be able to do much. But speaking of not being able to do much, I don't think Valvalis is going to have much of a fair fight. And goodbye, Valvalis. To answer a question from chat, that was in fact the 4th Cecil. We saw 1 on Ordeals, 1 in Evelyn Cave, 1 in Dwarf Castle, and a 4th one in the Tower of Zot. This guy, I don't think Infinious is regretting his choice of not taking Kane after Cecil went and destroyed Valvalis in 2 swings. I didn't want to go and insult your respect for Kane, but there's a reason why Cecil is getting nerfed with that vanilla agility, and he has to do the shenanigans you do. I need the Legend Sword at Tower of Zot. 1/2 of 1 objective. That can go and put you 1 step closer to go mode.
Yeah, we already have access to the underground, so we know we can turn it in if we find the adamant. And to be honest, we haven't really been thinking about this objective as much, because the other 3 were very more achievable. But now Complete Cave Magnus and Forged Legend Sword are the same distance away from our runners, basically only needing 1 key item now after that.
Yep. That is, that's something you can just get going on. So the real question is, where's the Darkness Crystal? Where's the way to the moon? We can be really nice and have everything on Earth. We can be really rude, have some stuff on the moon, and we can go and be really silly and have some stuff be having the Twin Harp be on the moon and give the adamant.
Yeah, and Infinious is going to show us there has got to be something here in Baron or behind that Ashura D-Lunars. This is basically all that's left.
There is still the top of Lower Babel, I believe. I believe neither of our runner have gone and checked that yet.
And it's free! Free!
It is. It just takes 2 coffins or a stone spell from Tella. Or if you grind a lot, a stone spell from Palom. And Octomam is here to go and slow us down mildly. This is going to be not even a mild slowdown for Cecil. Yes, he doesn't have the exhale equipped, but Octomam resist holy damage because it's an early game boss and they make it resistant to holy and weak to darkness, so darkness Cecil can feel a bit better about how awful he really is. And Avengers Sword is down for those elements, so it's just a lot of damage going straight out to that poor octopus's face.
Yeah, pretty clutch there, making sure to kill the Anchor Cecil, because you do get a heal after Zot, so he was brought back to life. Infinious does not want him alive.
It's so sad, but really hard to go and disagree with, because dealing with an agility anchoring shenanigans does get annoying. And yep, here's the Maga Sisters. This is not the weakest spot, but also this spot definitely is not going to be too challenging for our runners, I think. At best, they would be able to take out one character. I think they're only going to be able to go and really hurt one of the characters a bit, and then a Quake is going to go off and drop the sisters down a hole. And hey, predictions! Tella goes down to a Fire 2 for 688 damage, would not have killed any other party member, so the Maga Sisters show off their Delta attack, take down a troublesome old man, and then are shown a very interesting way out of Baron Castle.
We get another twin, although, you know, this one might be, nope, goodbye.
I think it's really hard for Infinious to go and replace anyone. I think what he really would replace is Tella with Rosa or Porum.
Yeah, we still have no white mage in sight, and that means in your Z fight, you're going to be kind of either relying on item chucking healing, or you're going to be hoping that you have enough damage output to kill it before the second big bang.
Yes, that is something that's part of the reason why I would consider taking another Cecil. Cecil with an X-Scale can easily get up to around 4,000 to 5,000 damage around when berserked. With an Anchor Cecil, you can go and keep your Cecil's relative agility 1. You can do shenanigans. We find the Twin Harp. We have all 3 objectives. Infinious can now go straight there, get his last objective, get the crystal, and then be worried only about how to get to Threemus.
That means jbruntr has a chance to catch up here, because jbruntr has not done Zot or Baron, but has the ability to do Baron. So if he goes Baron rather than Zot first, he will pick up quite a lot of time versus Infinious.
Yes, that is very true. I don't know if jbruntr has been able to take out the Dark Imps yet, but skipping Zot, it didn't give a lot, but getting the Twin Harp is going to be a very helpful. Going to Baron. Looks like they're staying outside of Baron and resting here, so I think they're going into Baron now. They're going to be able to catch up on checks and get their crystal.
Yeah, this is going to definitely be awesome. The only question will be, after jbruntr does Baron and then chases that Twin Harp, how long is it going to be till he decides to go to the Fey March to beat those Dark Imps?
I mean, when you go and see, all right, this can get me my crystal, you're going to have a lot of incentive to just go and do that quickly. Looting the Baron shop, finding a Slumber Sword and a Poison Axe. Poison Axe was nerfed slightly in the fact that it sells for a lot less. It's still 25,000 gold when you sell it, not too shabby at all, but it was a real big money axe previously.
Now, we do have the fan favorite music coming up. We know Infinious' stream has some volume issues, so we are going to shut up here real quick and hope that you can hear.
Indeed. And that, unless I'm mistaken, is Q's March theme from Final Fantasy IX.
Yeah, I think that's the first time I've heard that one on the harp. Of course, there are a lot of harp songs in the game.
Yeah, there's... I don't know how many harp songs there are. That is something that only Boardface and Comlandy know at this point, I think. As Comlandy is one of the developers of Free Enterprise and goes and helps specifically with generating more harp songs. And we get the rat tail from the Twin Harp. We have the hook, so we can check that out. And there's our crystal. I believe this definitely puts our runner at over 10 key items. Yes, this puts him at 11 key items.
So it's now time for Infinious to find out how to get levels high enough for Z with no white mage, and get that grind on.
He still has to find a way to Threemus. He has no pass and no darkness crystal. There are still checks left. He is not out of the. He's not have all of this problem solved yet. He still needs to go and get a way to Threemus.
At this point, I'm very tempted to somehow keep hunting until I get the darkness crystal, check that last character, and then get the levels.
We do have the Sand Ruby, which could go and provide a character, and I don't believe either of our runners have checked the package character, so those are two options. That I've done this before. It's a very unique and scary strat, but if you go complete and all out on damage, you can take out Threemus with 0 healing whatsoever. You just have to be really confident of your damage.
And our runners can't exactly get rid of Telly yet. I'd have to check and see if their Porum has weak, or their Palom has weak. Oh, whoa, Rat Tail has the Darkness Crystal.
Alright, that's go mode. So, you can go and steal Sirens on these flags as well. You can go and use Edge, just open chest in Lower Babel, find the alert, and take that. So, we're going to go and we're in good position to just go at this point on Infinious' side. jbruntr is going to get the Twin Harp, he's going to go there, get the Rat Tail, turn that in, get their Crystal. Does have significantly fewer key items than Infinious does, so they'll be a bit further away from that 10 key items.
Yeah, and still does have to dive the Fey March and get that Dark Imp fight out of the way. I don't think he has the knowledge, but once he only needs that objective, he's definitely will go there. Finding more hourglasses here for Infinious. I am expecting a D Machine grind since going and stealing the Sirens is pretty slow, but some players are more comfortable with actually getting the D Machine fight than others. So he may get the Sirens, he may go D Machines. We'll know if he goes for the Whale, then we know what it's going to be.
Yeah, if he's going underground, he's going to steal Sirens. He's going underground. I believe he's going to look at the D-Lunar fight. Oh, he's going somewhere else underground. Where Sirens for sale in Tomra, and I missed it?
I don't think Infinious has checked Tomra yet, so he may be hoping.
Very true. No, picking more Bacchus wine, though. That's something you're going to go and want, as, again, Berserk is a really important status for these Z-fights. And jbruntr getting their Twin Harp is probably going to be beelining the way straight to that objective.
Which means we do get a music encore, chat's favorite.
Indeed.
Oh wow, heroine robes for sale. If we had literally any women in the party, that would be useful.
Yeah, that is definitely a very strong piece of equipment. It's the closest thing you're going to see to an adamant armor on this flag set, as adamant armors are not allowed to show up. We have the no adamant flag turned on just because we find those things a little too powerful.
And it looks like Infinious not wanting the D machine grind is going into the tower. The only reason could be to get those sirens from the trap chest fight, just as you've seen here. Gonna steal a stack and get it done.
It's so the dragon. Ooh, that's something that he's going to be a little annoyed at. Leaving the Avenger on Cecil. Cecil's just killing the alert and not getting able to get any sirens. Finding a moonveil, not the worst thing, but that's a stiff reminder to take off the Avenger when you don't actually want Cecil to go straight to, shall we say, Eyes of March mode.
Yeah, if it's me here, I don't know when the last time Infinious saved was, but I would have reset rather than kind of hunting for the other trap chests. There's four of them in here, so there's going to be three more chances. But it was very convenient that the first chest had the first trap.
Yeah, that's I'm gonna go with 3. Now we're at 3. Now the 4th floor, and that now you find another trap chest. That probably hurt more than a little bit. I'm going to guess if a character is removed from this party at this point, it is going to be Tella. Actually, if you go and check the... Infinious does have the Sand Ruby. He does have the Lunar Dais to give him an option for more characters. If you find 2 Berserkers there, do you dump Hallam and Tella to go for full melee party? Like, if you have another Cecil and a Kane in those locations, do you just take them?
Oh yeah, if I still have a grind if I still have the ability to grind with sirens and I haven't grinded yet, I'm definitely dumping Tella if I can.
Do you dump Hallam, or do you go and get Hallam up to nuke? But finding that Zeus Gauntlet, that is another nice pickup when we're looking at just pure DPS rush on Zeromus. And plus 10 strength, yeah, that's a really good pickup.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna replace your Tella, then it's better to replace the Palom as well because Nuke is only good in the final battle if you can reflect it, and you won't be able to really effectively set it up. So if you're gonna go, if you already have four berserkers, then you may as well just go 5 berserkers.
Yeah. I mean, we do have Moonveils. We found 2 of them in chest there, so Hallam can just throw Starveil up on himself and go off that. It does, however, require Hallam to be level 50, or 52, excuse me, which is 900,000 experience. And Infinious is going around looking for something. I'm not 100% certain what they are looking for, but they definitely consider it important enough to be checking all these shops now.
I think it might be the Cure 3s.
That is not a bad call when you don't have a dedicated white mage. Those Cure 3s can definitely go and be healing.
They were in an early game town as well, and I think it was Mysidia, so we'll see if he checks his item shop after raising the whale.
That is, I definitely wouldn't disagree with that. Meanwhile, jbruntr is through the Twin Harp, has taken down that antlion, is going to get the rat tail, has completed objective number 2, and is getting close to the end of the seed. Though I believe they are definitely not too close. They're not quite at 10 key items. They're at, I believe, 7 at this point. Looks like 8 key items on their side. Once they turn that rat tail, they'll be at 9. And when they beat the Dark Imps, they'll get up to 10. So they will be able to go and grind. Yes, Demering confirming my math. Thank you very much. I definitely appreciate that. Don't do any math on stream, folks. Not even counting.
We're going to have to see. It looks like probably we will not be seeing a pass today either then. So we will have the long hike through the lunar subterranean once Infinious is done grinding as well.
Yep, that's Infinious not checking the sand. Did we get anyone to check the Sand Ruby character?
Nope, it will forever be a mystery.
Maybe jbruntr is going to go and check them. I can imagine our runners feeling much better if they find a white mage here.
There's the Darkness Crystal for jbruntr. Now just needs to go back and kind of try again on those Dark Imps. I think has more tools available now, should be able to get through it.
Yeah, I think they're going to be in a better position for that. But they have definitely bled a fair amount of time to Infinious, who is on the moon and is going to see who this character is and going to set up and do a grind. That said, if jbruntr checks that Sand Ruby character and it's Rosa, they have a much easier Zeromus fight than Infinious does, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the knowledge now that jbruntr has, now that he has the Darkness Crystal, it kind of changes your thought process on where you want to go for sure.
Oh yeah. And we find a Kayn on the moon. Goodbye, Callum. Looks like he's keeping Tella around to go and do Berserk Cast, I'm guessing, or to go in throughout weeks or some of his other spells. Definitely not interested in going and keeping Callum, taking him up to nuke, so I am curious how Infinious's Z-Fight is going to go. If he's just going to go for massive power and destruction, or if he's going to be doing something different.
Yeah, I'm very confused by this play because I was pretty sure that Infinious's Palom had weak already.
No,
And in
Infinious,
that case, I can't imagine why you would take Tella over Palom.
Palom definitely didn't have weak. Palom was in the mid-30s, so he learns weak at level 44, I think. It's a long ways off. But he does have Hourglasses and Sirens, and I believe he has a Dragoon Spear, so Kayn is going to go and be doing a fair amount of work.
Yeah, I mean, we have the equipment, so we're definitely looking at a quadruple Zerk party if Infinious can keep them alive.
Yeah, that's part of why I was on Team Palom over Tella. Tella is... You can go and throw out Berserks, but you have Bacchus Points, so you'll be able to get your Zerkers going in the fight. Yes, you can go and throw a Cure 4 for a counter nuke, but with Palom, you can just dish out so much damage, you can potentially keep Zeromus from doing a big bang, which is where my head would be going. I don't want to go and fight this fairly. I want to just simply throw as much damage as possible, keep Zeromus from doing anything to me, and win before I see any actions from him outside of that first big bang.
jbruntr not throwing Hourglasses at the Dark Imps. I don't know if he has maybe forgotten that they can be stopped or didn't buy any when he went through Cave Evelyn, but that's going to be a necessity for this fight. He's checking the inventory. I didn't see any. I
saw some Hourglass 2s in his third item slot on the left column, so he does have them, but maybe he's thinking if he won't be able to get them off, or he doesn't need them, or if he wants to save them for something different. It's a bit of a rough time.
Meanwhile, we do see Infinious has the party he wants, is now doing the grind. The double dragons here, going to use up these sirens in the most efficient way possible. This is the most EXP random encounter available. And we can see definitely wanted to keep Tella there to throw weeks on these to speed it up.
Yep, more doing something. He's not going throwing weeks out yet. Looks like he's just relying on damage from Cecil, and Cecil doing almost 2,000 damage every swing. Yeah, that's definitely a lot of damage. And because he has over 10 key items, he's going to be getting double experience. Each of these gold dragons gives 30,000 experience base. With 10 key items, it goes up to 60,000 experience. With a life glitch, that's an extra 60,000 experience. So this fight is going to go and give 180,000 experience. And that's going to be double for Kayn. So Kayn is going to go and get 360,000 experience from this first fight. And their king goes from level 10 to level 40. And
Now, the thing I'm worried about here for Infinious is that he does have one Cecil as a level 1 anchor, so not going to be outputting any damage. That means he only has 3 Berserkers, and without a white mage, I'm very worried about a Z-fight in this situation. Tella actually also doesn't have a great magic boosting item, because if I'm not mistaken, that Stardust Rod was on the Palom that was given away and was not kept.
Tella isn't going to be able to do that much damage with even with a stat boosting item, so I can see not being too concerned about Tella. Definitely, this is not something you like to see happen. Your main source of damage getting paralyzed, but we're going to see the heal spell come out. Not used very often, but it will remove that paralyze and get Cecil back into taking things out. Meanwhile, jbruntr has gone and taken out the Dark Imps, got a stone off with Tella, and is now going to have his crystal have that last objective and will be on his way to grind and go for Threemus. jbruntr does have 2 Paloms. That means he has a very viable reflect strategy. So that could be a safer way of taking out Threemus compared to Infinious, who has to go and shoot through all of Threemus' health with his Berserkers.
Exactly right. And jbruntr has been about a dungeon behind for a bit, but that doesn't mean he's out. There's still a lot of grinding to be done. And if jbruntr has a very efficient grinding method, he can lap Infinious here. Infinious is actually taking quite a while with each of these dragon fights. But of course, that will be speeding up now as his characters gain levels. But also the Z fight itself. Infinious's party is pretty dicey for the Z fight, in my opinion, and jbruntr may have a much safer strategy. So if we see a Z wipe out of Infinious, that's all jbruntr will need to catch up.
Oh yeah, that's something that's got to be weighing on Infinious's mind, because pure damage Z fights are doable. They're just really scary, and you need to be able to just take a brick, throw it on the accelerator that is your damage, and just lay it on. You do not want to let Z get any additional big bangs off. And that's going to be hard with the current party. It's part of why I was so big on the idea of taking that 3rd Cecil, in that you can go Avenger Glitch, you can have 2 Cecils with Excaliburs functionally going and zerking in that fight. Add in an edge on top of that, that's probably going to be enough damage to just knock down Threemus hard.
Yeah, if I don't have like a real white mage, I'm usually trying to get at least 4, if not 5 Berserkers, and Infinious only has 3. So I'm sure he knows what he's doing here, but I definitely want to see how this works out.
Oh yeah, this is going to be he's going to have a fun Z fight one way or another. And jbruntr has raised the whale. We're going to see, is he going to go and do a D-Machine manip? He is going straight to the moon. Let's see what their plan is.
Yeah, I'm very surprised both players keeping Tella for so long and no D machines in sight for either one of them. I don't know if that's because they think they have a better shot with the dragons, but actually, let's see. I'm not sure, but I think Infinious may be low on sirens now.
Infinious still has 3 or 4 left, I think. Or at least 2 to 3. I believe he stole 7, and he had 7 hourglasses. So he is saving here, and looks like he's going to go and be taking a first shot at Threemus.
This is good. If you think your opponent's right behind you, it's good to kind of try it risky first, and then if you need more levels, you're only 1 screen away from where your grind would be to get just a few more. Whereas if you think they're right on your tail, you can't really wait to get those.
Yep. And jbruntr, check the shop on the moon, is coming back and deciding what to do. I think they're thinking hard as to whether or not they want to go and do a D-Machine grind, or if they want to go and steal sirens. And they're flying their whale. They're moving that whale over to Baron. They are getting ready to set up their manipulation for a D-Machine. Meanwhile, Infinious is charting their way to Threemus with this Trizerker Tellus setup, and I'm seeing some Z flags in chat. Motos, what's that about?
Well, we have a random sprite used for Zeromus in replace of his normal one, just to add some little spice. And a lot of them are great. In fact, all of them are great. Some of them are amazing. And there's usually a phrase we like to say here.
Indeed, because Threemus, final boss of the game, doesn't get moved around. He needs a makeover. And let's find out, whose butt are we kicking this morning?
I'm not sure what's happening on Jbrun's side. He drove the whale to Baron, but I'm not sure what he's doing there.
He may be going and pulling up the chart itself to one of my habits is I always pull up this machine manipulation chart before I start grinding, so I don't have to take time in the middle of the race to do so. It's easy to overlook that you need that information available. But here comes the transformation on Infinious' side. Sir, not actually fought in the seed, is appearing as the final boss, the Frogged Lunar Dragon.
Look at that frog. Yes, and we do see jbruntr is going to go the D machine, so we will get to see both grinding methods today.
Yep, and yeah, it looks like Infinious' idea is we're just going to go with Berserker strats, or we're going to go and have Kain Chemist, not even equipping him with any real weapons. Kain just has a crystal ring and his base gear, from what I saw. So Kain's job is to throw Cure 3s on people.
Not too shabby then. We see Cecil hitting for 5,000 each, so as long as you can keep Kain and Cecil alive, that's all he needs, really.
Edge is also pulling out 3,400 damage a swing. That is a serious contribution. 8,000 damage around is definitely good damage on Zeromus. We're probably going to have a bit of time between the first and second big bangs at this rate. The biggest and most scary thing to happen here, I think, is going to be a big bang into Medio.
Oh yeah, the runner's bane. You're never safe. That bad time it can hit you.
Oh yeah, that's something where I'm quite familiar with when I need to go and cast my queue up my Cure 4 on Rosa so I can get a big bang and then go and heal before the Medio comes out. Without a White Mage, this means you're going to be able to get maybe one Cure 3 potion out before Medio start falling, and that is going to be scary. We see a shake. It's been a bit. I'm pretty sure this is that phase refreshed Big Bang, and we're about to go and see one of the stronger Big Bangs come out, unnerfed, and maximum roll of 2,700 damage. Because one of the things that Zeromus does in the Z fight is he varies his magic power on occasion. He goes up, and some Big Bangs he has a maximum damage roll of 2,400. On other Big Bangs, there's a maximum damage roll of 2,700 because of how that magic power gets set. Big Bang into Medio, but he got a heal off on Cecil. I think Infinious is going to be able to take care of this. Edge is down, Kain is not. Cecil is more than good, and Infinious takes first place. Their official time of 1 hour, 36 minutes, and 56 seconds. GG's Infinious. Let's see if we can get him in for an interview.
While we're waiting for Infinious to get to the booth, just to give everyone in the crowd what's going on here, Infinious is now 1-1 in his group. So if he wins one more match, he will be able to stay in the magma route rather than the hook route, which is an easier path to the final stage of the tournament. He really wants to get one more win for sure. Meanwhile, jbruntr is having his hopes dashed of a free pass to the final because that one loss is going to get him out of there, and he will have to fight in his last two matches to go for, or sorry, his last two matches for whether he will get the hook or magma route.
Indeed, and we are now joined by Infinious. Congratulations on your wins, Infinious.
Thank you. Always good to get the first ever tournament win out under my belt. So that feels good.
Hey, congratulations! Glad to go and be here for that. How are you feeling going to your Threemus fight? That was definitely probably not your preferred team, I'm guessing.
No. So did jbruntr actually check Sand Ruby?
No, I don't believe either of you have.
Damn. So it occurred to me as I was going to the moons, I was like, oh, I could have checked Sand Ruby for a white mage. Too late. I'm already here.
Well, you certainly made it work.
I won't lie, Infinious. I was kind of side-eyeing your choice there at the end to ditch for that fresh cane, but it seemed to have worked out for you. You knew exactly what you were doing in that Z fight.
Oh, so I knew that would be a very interesting choice. My rationale was that I needed a chemist. I didn't think that Teller would actually be able to survive beyond the second Big Bang. So I just figured, let's be safe. Let's just get rid of this Palam who actually isn't going to do anything if I try to grind him up. Like, it takes too much effort to try to Star Veil him, then go to cast Nuke on someone. So from my perspective, it was too much effort. So I just figured this was just easy to have a Kane as a chemist.
Not an unfair strategy. You definitely went and had a good handle on that Z fight. You did go and have the unpleasant Big Bang intermediate, but you were prepared and queued up your Cure 3s in time, so your Cecil was going to be more than safe. So that definitely worked out very well for you. How are you feeling?
Go on.
No,
you go
ahead. No, you're the runner. You're the one who has the more interesting things to say.
Yeah, can I get a rebutt? Can I get a redo on my grind? God, that was ghastly. Oh my god. That felt so bad. Forgetting to unequip the Avenger Sword like multiple times. Oh.
It's an easy thing to do because you're thinking, I need to get experience, I need to get going. This is the end of the seed, I need to keep going. It's really easy to do that. It's something where, crud, I forgot to swap off the Avenger.
Yeah, and then I did it multiple times, like a doofus.
Hey, easy mistakes to make. If people didn't make mistakes in races, I wouldn't win some of mine. So
that's true. That's fair. That's fair.
Now,
so
we see jbruntr in the D Machine fight now. Is there what makes your determination on which grind fight you decide to take in a seed like this?
I think given that I wasn't that far off anyway. I don't think doing a D Machine grind, getting the manip is time efficient compared to just stealing sirens and just going for it. So to me, it wasn't actually a choice at all. It was just obviously going to be because I knew I had hourglasses at Cave Eblin. I knew I could steal sirens. I can just relatively quickly kill King Ryu's. So let's just go for that. Although it really sucked that I again forgot to unequip the Avenger, so killed the first Searcher.
Yep. That was something that we did come on. It did get you a second Zeus Gauntlet. Do you think that win helped?
It probably helped a little bit. But in the end of the day, this was essentially have Cecil with Excale Avenger. Was it? He had bandana, power shirt, and Zeus Gauntlet. I could have just not had. I just felt that Edge could have just need to chip in a little bit. Kind of wish I bought a second Ninja Sword though, as opposed to having just one. But that's a minor detail.
Those Ninja Swords are expensive. It's easy to go and say, I want one, and then you come to the shop with Bacchus Swines and think, I really wish I could afford these.
Yeah, I probably did overbuy buy some Bacchus Wines and maybe buying a whole bunch of that big stack of 40 Cure 3s was excessive, maybe, but I had the money.
It's easy to go and think, I need a lot of Cure 3s because this is my only healing in the Z fight. But the flip side to that is, you really can't afford to go and use a lot of Cure 3s in the Z fight, not because they're expensive, but because you're going to go and be suppressed on turns. So that's something that's easy to overbuy, saying this is my only source of healing, I need a lot of it. Conversely, if you're going and doing a lot of damage, you don't need it, you just need just enough. So again,
having said that though, I was going to say, having said that though, given I was taking some because I was messing up my my King Ryu grind so much that the King Ryu was getting some attacks off and entangling my Cecil. Probably ended up being a good thing I had that just in case.
Yep, always good to have emergency healing. It's definitely better to have too much healing and not need it than run out of healing when you really need it.
Oh yes, okay, because I'm just seeing on stream now, you're going to about to see me check Job Dwarf because I didn't do that.
Shame that your race is now invalid because you forgot to go and check Job Dwarf during the seed. We will have to no.
Damn it! All right. Oh, I felt really smart about that that Dark Imp fight. Honestly, like using cover strats
Yes.
with my one Cecil, like changing the power shirt to the white shirt because that had more evade and no defense. Oh, that was I think that was my proudest moment of the seed, was working out how to do that fight.
It's a great strat.
Yeah, it was very satisfying for us as well because Baka Shinobi had just been talking about that potential, and then you went and did it. It was a very good showcase.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just trying to think. Yeah, so I don't know. Just trying to figure what else I really liked about the seed. It's funny. Normally, when I get an early a hook, because the hook was in Antline, right?
Correct.
Normally when I get an early hook, I usually tend to I have the habit of fading for bull. But this, given that my party at the time was what, 2 Palums, a Sid, and a Teller, I didn't feel comfortable enough to fade for bull this time around.
That's a very fair thing to do. I struggle to fade Bull on these flags, especially just if a Bull has a magma key, that's always in play, and that can take a lot of time. Granted, it might not have been such an issue for Launch the Falcon objective.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I'm just struggling to think of what anything interesting that happened. Like the fact that there was no white mage, and oh my god, there were so many Cecils, right? Like there were ditched one on the way to Ordeals. I think there was one from Earth Crystal Tower of Zot.
Yep, there
was
total
one other I'm
four.
forgetting.
There was one in Ordeals, as he mentioned, one in Cape Evelyn, who you picked up,
Yeah.
one in Zot, who you didn't pick up, and one in Dwarf Castle, who you did pick up. So you went.
Okay, yeah. It actually did feel really good to pick up that second Cecil just so my anchoring situation could be fixed.
To be entirely honest, I'm kind of curious you didn't pick up the third Cecil when you had the Avenger and the X-Gal, because something you can go and do is on the Zoroas fight, take your Avenger glitch your first Cecil, take your X-Gal that is now free from the hand of the Cecil blindly swinging the Avenger, put it in their hand, and let them go to town.
I mean, on us, it didn't occur to me. But having said that, I'm not sure I would have, even if it did occur to me, I'm not sure it would have panned out anyway. More because, given my final composition ended up needing a healer, I'm not. I still think having an edge at that point, having an edge was better at that point, considering I needed sirens.
Yep, that's fair. That was just one of those things that it's something I've done, which is why I think of it. It is something I have shamelessly gone with with one Crystal Sword and an Avenger and turned it into 2 Crystal Swords swinging Cecils. So I really like that strategy.
Yeah, if it was Crystal Sword, I might have fought again, but I think X-Scale was just that much worse that I didn't think it was worth it.
That's entirely fair. Motos, do you have any final questions?
No, I think that's it. It was great playing, Infinious. Thanks for letting us watch your race today.
No worries, and shout out to both of you for doing commentary. I look forward to watching this through just to see see if there's any other things I could improve upon, and also thank you to Demarin for restreaming and Commander Lee and Huff for tracking, because I know how important that is for you too.
Thank you very much. It is always appreciated. Again, we always appreciate all of our volunteers.
And I think with that, I need to head to bed because it is getting late and I kind of have a match to watch.
Sounds good. Have a great evening. Good night. And one last question from me. When is your next match? Do you have it scheduled?
It is scheduled for next. My next match is against I think it's Bill Biotics, and it's next week. I
All
think
right.
around the same time. So, looking forward to that. It's kind of scary for me because I know nothing about this runner, so not sure whether I should be scared or confident about going into it.
I'm sure you're going to be up for an exciting match then. We'll look forward to it next week.
Cheers, Buck Shinobi, and cheers everyone.
Back to the action now. jbruntr is done with the grind and almost lost it. Forgot to turn off random encounters after the D Machine grind and got into a kind of awkward battle random encounter, but managed to save it, had good enough armor on Cecil, and he started covering. So very nice save on jbrunt's part. That would have been a big time loss if he'd lost that grind.
Yeah, that's a very easy mistake to make. You're going and thinking about, all right, I've got my grind. What do I need to go do through them? So I have the Silk Webs, do I have the Star Bells, do I have, I want to go move my spells to my kids, start moving. Ha ha ha, I forgot to turn off my encounters, and because of that stupid fire attack, almost all my characters are dead.
Yeah, and you can't even run because these tournament flags we have can't run on, so you're just stuck. You have to soldier through it.
Yep, and soldier through what jbruntr did. That is definitely, it's a harsh mistake. It's probably one that he's going to remember, but he did go and get through it. He was able to go and prepare himself, and yes. Oh, and we're looking at the agility end here. The only agility number that's going to matter is Cecil's, and Cecil's agility number is going to be very high. I believe it's level 53. He has 33 agility. This is noticeable because 28 is the lowest agility that you can go and take Threemus from relative agility 1 to relative agility 2. And it's at level 45 for Cecil. The closer you can get to 28 to shift Threemus to relative agility 2 while not going and negatively affecting your other party members is important. Though to be fair, you want to be as close to 28 without going under 27. Threemus is going to be relative agility 1.
Yeah, and this is why if you're unaware of the agility situation, you can get very surprised by Threemus with, we're talking big bangs that happen before even your whole party has had a turn in between.
Oh yeah, between battle speed and just agility setups, you can have some very bad times. I recently made myself go and do a seed where I saw take a Cecil and force myself to use Cecil as a leveled character to be my anchor, and it was a rough fight for me. It has been a while since I've done this fight. It reminded me why I never do those fights, because they are scary. But jbruntr is in the mid to high 50s. His Palms, I believe, definitely have nuke. They also have 2200 HP, so reflex strats are definitely on the table. That is something that jbruntr will be able to go and do, and would have to do less damage because Threemus cheats a little bit. He has 100,000 HP, but he can't actually get HP up to 100,000 with the SNES integer values. So he actually has around 61,000 HP. What happens is after you do 40,000 and change damage to him, he will go and next time he takes direct damage, trigger a counterattack that refills his HP. If you're eagle-eyed, you might have noticed an odd pause in Infinious' fight when everything just seemed to stop for a second. That is that hidden refill. If you use Reflect and bounce spells, you can bypass counters. And if you bypass counters, that will bypass the HP refill counter. So you can take Threemus down about 40,000 HP safely, and then for the rest of the fight, you want to go and just Reflect nuke. A lot of times, people just say, I don't want to worry about counting damage numbers, so they'll just only reflect damage onto Threemus, which will bypass his normal nuke counter as well.
Yeah, and that's if jbruntr had gotten to the Z fight a little earlier, that's where we would have seen a big difference, because reflex strats can be extremely quick, especially if your party's a little bit over leveled.
Yes, that is something. Not having to go through another 40,000 HP definitely saves time. It is a strat I am not unfond of. But looks like jbruntr is just going and getting themselves set up. Hard to criticize someone who's seen their opponent finish taking time here, so I can see not wanting to go one way. Level 57 team, just take your time, get yourself prepared. be comfortable with how you're going to go in, and just destroys Threemus. Otherwise, this has definitely been a rather solid match for our runners. This has been a good bit of back and forth. jbruntr had, I believe, a bit of an early advantage, having doing a bit less than Infinious, but Infinious coming back and getting through a lot of stuff, getting through just a little bit more efficiently, being able to get through the Dark Imps in only 2 tries, thanks to those hourglasses, really helped Infinious.
Yeah, and we can see the required checks for the seed were actually pretty long, despite no one ever doing any moon checks whatsoever. We pretty much checked everywhere we could on the planet.
Yeah,
The tower was basically the only thing we skipped.
Tower and Odin's Throne, I believe, are the only... Oh, and the Ashura spot was also not. But looking at the spoiler log, we saw that was not going to be rewarded because the Adamant was on the moon, so... Realistically, you're going to get underground by launching the Falcon, which is one objective. You're needing to go through Twin Harp to get your Darkness Crystal, which is the second objective. And then the King of Summon Monsters is Dark Imps, who's a pretty manageable fight without the boss bit. So that Forging the Legend Sword with the Adamant was probably never going to come and play just because of where it fell today.
Now let us see how jbruntr gets through the Z fight. Definitely going to be some different tactics from Infinious for sure.
Indeed, they have a very different way. There's still no good healing for them, but they're going to be, if they can go and do their reflect strats, or they can just do straight hybrid strats and also take care of Threemus, because enough damage will go and keep Threemus from doing, will reset Threemus' script and put you in a rather favorable position.
While we are waiting for the Z fight to happen here, I do want to mention my co-commentator here, Baka Shinobi. Thank you for coming out today. It's been a good time. This match has been great. Demarine is bringing us the restream, and our tracker today is Commander Leonhardt, so thank you for all that behind-the-scenes work. We're putting on like 3 or 4 restreams a day during this tournament, and all of the volunteers behind the scenes have been so great. It's been really cool to see.
Yep. Thank you, everyone who's come out. Thank you, Motos, as well, for helping, because wouldn't be able to put out a show with you either. Or without you, excuse me. And yeah, we are putting out a lot of free enterprise. If you like free enterprise, give the channel a follow. You'll see some more here. We'll also be going and showing some races on Random Mania and RPG Limit Break, so check out those channels as well. If you want to go and see any free enterprise showing up, keep an eye on the Final Fantasy IV category, and you'll be able to see a lot of races in the next few weeks. We are still in the just beginnings of this.
That's right. Once again, there are 3 phases to this tournament, and we are still only about a little bit over halfway done with the group phase. Then we will have the second phase, which is the Hooker Magma route for our players who did not go 3-0. And then, only then, will we begin our round of 32, maybe plus, depending on how many get in there. But then we will finally start knocking players all the way out.
Yeah. Ooh. jbruntr is going to discover something about Threemus. Every time he shakes before you transform with a crystal, he removes all your buff. jbruntr went and put a wall on his middle palm, which then got dispelled by a shake. So that is a unpleasant start for jbruntr.
Yeah, you definitely just gotta toss that crystal before you start messing around with your. It is appealing to try to get your buff set up while there's no danger, but it just doesn't work. The game programmers thought you might try that, and they stopped it.
Yep. So this is a rough start. They might be able to recover, but they might be forced to just come back in and do this again. This is a bit of a scary spot. Cecil is berserk and is going to be throwing out damage, but there's not much healing, so going to need to popping a Star Veil. If you start getting those heals out, that can definitely go and start helping this team recover. So we're going to Cure 4 with Tella. Tella is Tella's a lot of things. Unfortunately, not the highest stats. Still getting several hundred on every character, but Threemus is going to be going and casting another Big Bang shortly. This is looking scary for jbruntr.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I did see Cure 3 thrown, but chat pointing out jbruntr only has one more life potion. Not a great situation.
No, this is definitely not the preferred situation for jbruntr at this point in time. And there is the second Big Bang. It's been nerfed probably, but there's just not a lot of healing here.
Not too bad, although Edge's HP was low to begin with, so he goes down.
Yep, Tal is out of MP, so not in a position to go and really do much, unfortunately. Black Hole comes out, clearing the Berserk, and jbruntr is just looking through their pack and seeing they have 6 Cure 2s, and that's the healing they have. Taking a reset. I don't disagree with this. This is... It's not an easy Threemus fight doing some of these, because you have to go and take things in a specific order, and if their battle speed is set to 1, Threemus is going to be getting a lot of turns. I don't know what their battle speed is set to, but I would absolutely want it set to 3. Oh dear, I believe jbruntr is missing an important detail. His Palam's agility does not affect the anchoring situation. Only his Cecil's agility affects the anchoring situation because of the vanilla agility.
Yeah, that you really want that curse ring on Cecil here, and also if you're going to be using him for damage, you want him in the middle slot as well. So that is going to be a rude awakening here. At this point, jbruntr needs to buy some Cure 3s and life potions if he wants it to work this way.
Yeah. Alternatively, if he just goes for pure reflect strats or goes for hybrid strats, he should be able to get through this, because double nuke does a lot of bad things to Threemus. It's just you need to go and be set up and have that going properly. My preferred way of doing reflect strats or hybrid strats on Threemus is to have my party set up where whoever I'm going to go and be having using a Star Veil is the second person who goes, first person throws the crystals, second person throws the Star Veil. Nukes start coming out. I throw one direct nuke on Threemus to get a nerf. So another thing that's going to go and hit jbruntr is the fact that no Silk Web. Silk Web is really, really important. Ooh, and jbruntr checking his saves, checking to see if he has one back in Earth, and nope, his last one is after his grind and on the moon, so if he wants to go and do some stuff, he's exiting out. I don't disagree with this. You don't have the tools, just go, get prepared, and come back.
Yeah, it's definitely more time efficient than trying to knock your head on a fight where you just barely don't have what you need.
Exactly. There is 2 ways of approaching this. Looking at what you have and thinking, this is totally possible, someone can do this. And then looking at it and asking yourself, how well can I do this? And I absolutely respect anyone who says, no, I don't like how this is going. This isn't going to go and set things up well for me. jbruntr is going to... they might be going and checking the character in Kaipo. Maybe they're going to go and abandon Cecil and get set up for Reflect strats with a fresh anchor. Not something I would disagree with if you want to do pure Reflect, because double nuke is really strong, especially with level 57 Palams. That can be easier than even if you have a Holy Sword Cecil coming. But using the Sand Ruby and getting, I believe this is a new Palam.
See, I really worry that this is going to lead jbruntr to take a level 1 Palam that will be useless to him in order to... Oh.
He is getting rid of Cecil. He has a fresh anchor. He's now going to be able to set up his team for Relative Agility 1. That is going to go and fix this fight a super, super big way.
Yeah, this will allow jbruntr to really commit to the Reflect strats and kind of get that Cecil out of the way and get the agility all taken care of. So it should, especially after buying some Cure 3s, have a much easier time now.
Yep. There are a lot of ways you can try and go and approach these seeds. Sometimes you try and double down on your mistakes. Sometimes you say, no. What I want yes, Crystal Excalibur Cecil with a Zeus Gauntlet is great. It's wonderful. He does a crap ton of damage. He's not working in this situation. He is actively hurting my team. I need to get rid of him, replace him with literally pretty much anyone else, and I can go and make this work. And that's exactly what jbruntr is doing. And they're going to Mysidia to get more Cure 3s as well, which is, when you have no healing outside of Tella, these Cure 3s are going to be very important. And yeah, just this is good play. This is acknowledging where things are going to go for you, and what you need to fix it. And it might not be winning jbruntr this race, but it will definitely help him in the future, and it will probably win him races in the future. Because mistakes happen. Everyone goes and makes mistakes at some point. And your ability to go and recognize when you've made a serious mistake and need to do something to recover is something that will go and save you in the future.
Yeah, we have, just because we're in a tournament stage, a loss is still learning. Everyone who plays this game, even our top players, are always learning new things about the game and changing their strategy. Following new meta as we change flags and add features to the randomizer. So definitely, it's good to see jbruntr kind of figuring out what is needed here.
Yep, that is something. Even compared to the Fabul Gauntlet, this is a very different setup. We have very different flags on this race, so you need to go and adapt to them. And the Fabul Gauntlet, there were 5 objectives, and all of them were required, so there was different, routing was different, party composition was different. You might go, you didn't have free characters on, so you would go and have less options for making your team. But because you had less options, you would go and be learning how to maximize different characters more. There is a lot to go and take in for Enterprise. There's a lot of different ways to play Free Enterprise, and this isn't the only way to play Free Enterprise. If you're looking at this and thinking, this looks kind of fun, but I really don't like how, I have to go and fight those summoned monster bosses, you have the option of taking them out. Or if you're thinking, man, I'd really like to go and see Trap Chest more, you can add those into the key item spots. There is a lot of ways to play Free Enterprise, and if you want to, come join us on our Discord and play more.
Yeah, both the group flags and the table flags for this tournament are pretty advanced flag sets, I would say. But there are a ton. The best thing about Free Enterprise is how granular you can make the experience for you. There's a ton of flags. You can change basically every facet of the game as to how you want to play it, and you don't have to race. Many people in the community just have fun playing Seeds of the Week and just doing seeds on their own.
Yep. And if you're thinking, this looks too easy, you can make things even harder for yourself. You can go and make those treasures less generous. You can make those boxes even more sparse. You can make it so that those boxes have nothing for you whatsoever. There is a lot of ways to play Free Enterprise, and if you find this the slightest bit interesting, definitely come play on your own.
Now, we do have 15-minute delay on all the runner streams for this tournament as an anti-spoofing policy. So jbruntr is actually could be finished actually racing. We don't know yet because we as commentators aren't in the race channel, but I do see him in the Twitch chat saying, note to runners, remember to prep for your Z fight. Yes, but this is a good recovery in my opinion, for sure.
Yeah, this is just throwing yourself at a Z fight over and over and over again that you don't think you're going to win that is a harsher mistake than going and losing a bunch of time, leaving the moon, going to the Earth, picking up a new anchor, picking up new supplies. It's still probably going to go and get you to Threemus, get you Threemus taken care of faster than trying to just really, really make what you have work. But here is jbruntr getting ready to go into this Threemus fight. Going to go and see how much different the second try goes compared to their first. Jbrun giving it a dramatic pause. Threemus! Right, we actually have to advance the text to fight, right? Yeah, we're definitely taking you down this time. Okay, here I think we're going to see a much more comfortable fight from jbrun, going and getting the crystal queued up, putting on Edge to make sure. And I don't know if Edge is going to be attacking or if he's going to be throwing a Star Veil. Either way, we're going to... the Lunar Frogs are going to come back, and they're going to be looking a bit less smug this time, I think. Okay, fine. They won't be looking that smug for long.
Yeah, and Edge can still be a decent sort of damage here, even if you don't berserk him. He can be the chemist, and also when you don't need him for that, he can be throwing some swords out there. We do have an X-Cal in the inventory, which is going to be a big boost.
Yep, that is a lot of damage you can throw out. Again, you do want to be careful when you throw it out, just for the whole... Make sure you don't go and accidentally trigger the refill, but we're going to have a lot of reflected nukes coming out, and that's going to go and do a lot of work. Getting a direct cast nuke on this one, maybe trying to see if you can get that to bounce off the bottom palm. Going for quad 9s. Going to the non-reflected palm. Threemus, I think your nukes are slightly paling in comparison compared to the kids.
Not too shabby, just the Anchor Kid down, so going to be able to recover very easily.
Yep, that is definitely something that not going to go and feel bad about at all. Bluffing up with the Paladin's going to go and get them even closer to their maximum spell power. Having Tella throw out a Cure 4, just get topping off some of these characters. Threemus is going in shaking again, but we've got some pretty strong looking Palums. And looking to go and get another nerf out with Edge. And now going and just getting back to reflecting their nukes and just start throwing out more damage. Ooh. Edge is taking a fair amount of damage there, though.
Just goes to show, damage rolls in this game are interesting.
Yes, one thing, so you'll notice the casters very frequently take a lot less damage than the melee fighters. That's because Magic Evade works by, you get what's called rolls of Magic Evade, where your equipment determines your Magic Evade percent, and then the combination of your Wisdom and Willpower and divided by 32 will give you one set of rolls, number of chances to evade, and your Agility will also give you chances to evade. It's every 32 Wisdom and Willpower will give you one multiplier for evasion, and every 32 Agility will give you another multiplier for evasion. So the kids go and have a lot of the magic casting stats and are going to be in very good shape to dodge rolls effectively. So magic is done by, you have a spell and you just kind of like roll some dice that do, instead of 1 to 6 damage, 1 to 4 to 500 damage. And the more spell power you have, the more times you get to go and roll that.
We did see a self nuke there. Black Hole came out at a bad time and removed the Reflect as Palom was casting, which is pretty rare because nuke is one of the fastest cast spells in the game.
Yep, that is something that's if you aren't prepared for the Black Hole to come out and you queue up your nuke when Threemus has a Black Hole queued up, that's easy to go and get hit by, unfortunately. Also, using Tella to queue up another nerf, using that crystal, doesn't do anything except it does count as a spell against Threemus, so it will go and trigger a counter nuke. Going to the top Palom again, cracking a bit better, higher numbers this time. Ooh, 1500 into dropping that Palom down to 600 HP is a little scary, but not doing enough damage to be a real threat. Palom's going to go and be at 99 HP, throw a Cure 3 potion to get up to reasonable health, while bottom Palom is going and throwing out a nuke. This is Yeah, Cure 3s are coming out for both the Palom. Oh, going on Tela as well. Just healing up and getting ready.
Yeah, it just goes to show you how effective that can be. What we're really doing is kind of playing with Zeromus' script, which resets his spell power to certain settings based on what ability he needs to use. So by forcing him to counterattack, you're actually changing his spell power, which does not get reset before the Big Bang, as long as it's close enough to when the Big Bang is coming out. You can see how much difference that spell power change does, because in no world would this party survive fully powered Big Bangs.
Yeah, the Paloms might be able to. Tela certainly wouldn't. But there is the crumble. Zeromus is down. jbruntr is done with an official time of 2 hours, 13 minutes, and 50 seconds. GG's to J. Brun. We will see if he is interested in an interview.
As we said earlier, if you're interested in the rest of this tournament, everything you need to know is on the Discord. There is a link on the main Free Enterprise website, as well as has been linked here in the chat as well. We have pins for how to get into the game, how this tournament works, the current standings for the tournament, everything you need to shop. It's really great. The level of organization as far as the information available is really fantastic.
Yes, and it's a lot of fun. If you're afraid that I don't know enough about this game, coming on our Discord, we have a specific channel just for people who are new. So don't be too worried about not knowing enough. A lot of people here are more than happy to teach you. And it looks like they're going to be Jay Bryan is going to be trying to join us shortly. So give us just a moment while they get set up. But otherwise, interesting seed today. We had a force tucker out with not the most rude moon boss, only Ogopogo, but the Demus there was definitely holding a little tease of a potential troll. The Twin Harp from the Baron Castle, definitely leading to the darkness, leading to the latch-up. Words hard. The Twin Harp from the Baron Castle, leading to the Rat Tail, which leads to the Darkness Crystal being our way to Zeromus, and being the Twin Harp being a required check. Another fun little event for us. Just a neat little seed that definitely challenged our runners, because we didn't see any proper white mages anywhere.
Yeah, this is a seed where you really had to use the tools available. So kudos to both of these runners for completing. No white mage in sight, having to use edge to get sirens if that's how you wanted to do the grind, or having to do the D machine grind with the new manipulation, which a lot of people haven't learned. I know I haven't learned it yet, but it's you had to use every tool available to you in this one, and I like to see when a seed challenges our runners like that.
Indeed, it's something that's the C maybe character flags. That one we didn't talk about too much, but it means that no character is guaranteed. It means that you can see 4 Cecils, you can see 5 Cecils, you can see 6 Cecils, you can see 0 Roses as well. So without that, you're going to need to just see what you have and make them work the best you can. And I believe we're joined by jbrun now. Congratulations on your finish, jbrun. How did you feel about
you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, excellent.
How did you feel about that seed?
Well, it was pretty good up until the Z fight. I completely forgot to prepare for that, getting the agility anchor.
It is... Yeah, we saw that you were trying to go and finesse your Hallam's agility with a cursed ring, and we're walking down to Zeromus the second time, then reset. Was that when you remembered that there was a vanilla agility on this seed?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I forgot about Cecil in there.
It's an easy thing to overlook. It's not been a standard flag for a while. It's always been used a lot. So how do you feel about Cecil going and changing over your agility situation?
Well, I mean, something had to give to get the the speeds right on Zeromus. So,
Hey, you did what you needed to do to win. That is definitely an important thing. It's losing an Excel Cecil is definitely painful, but if it lets you win, it's definitely a worthwhile sacrifice.
Yeah, it's certainly better than wiping again. So, yep.
How, in general, how did you feel about not seeing any white mages that seed? Was that something that was concerning you for a bit, or something that you were feeling you're gonna be able to deal with?
Yeah, that was pretty rough. I was hoping for one at least before going to the moon, so I could slingshot them to some good levels, but they just never showed up.
Yeah, there's a lot of spots checked, and no white mages anywhere. It's not even Porum, who definitely isn't the preferred white mage.
Yeah, but Stella worked in a pinch, so
Always good to make use of what you have. With that early on checks, when you got the edge early, was there any thoughts of how you wanted to approach the seat when you got to your early edge?
well, getting him early on, I knew at least the overworld was going to be pretty easy. I guess he's always an asset.
Definitely a valuable thing to go and have for that. And definitely a valuable thing to make use of.
Yeah, and then finding the Murasame underground, that was another boon to the run. So
Now we
Yeah.
saw you use a different grinding strategy. You did D machines, whereas your opponent stole sirens and did some dragons on the moon. I thank you for showing off the new manipulation. By the way, it's very cool to see players using that. But is that your preferred method of grinding? Is D machines?
well, I figured with only having one edge, it may have taken a bit longer to get the necessary sirens to get the grind going. But yeah, I had seen the D machine spreadsheet out there, so I decided to try that, and thankfully it worked out.
Oh, is this your first time using the new manip, or have you practiced it a few times in 4?
I used it once before. It was
Okay.
the first time in an actual race.
Still, good job doing that. That is definitely something that always important to go and have your grind options available to you and take the best use of them.
Exactly.
Well,
Cool. Well, do you have any final words today, Jabron, before we go on? And also, who is your next match against and when?
Next match is against Flurry 14, so that's gonna definitely be a rough one. But just like to thank the whole Restream team. You guys had some good commentary from what I caught at the end.
thank you very much. We definitely watching back races is a great way to go and see where you can go and pick up time. It's something I made a lot of use of. Well, I make use of all the time, to be entirely honest. So I hope you go and enjoy rewatching this match.